Hello, dear friends, and good morning on the 13th of September. Today, the most interesting aspect is the square between the Sun and Jupiter. And this is a square which is not, one of the worst aspects. It's not one of those that will really put you in a very difficult position or a position in which you may feel stuck. But it brings some kind of possible frustrations. And the main thing that Jupiter wants in general, that's just Jupiter's nature, is to want to make things in bigger scale, to make them more significant, more impressive, to receive big rewards and recognition, and overall to feel significant and important. And not just within ourselves, but it's like the response we get from the environment, from some kind of social environment around ourselves. So something related to this can make us feel frustrated and like we want to change something, that maybe we are not really happy with the rewards we are receiving or the success that we get, or generally how appreciated we are from other people. But the square aspect is the one which can motivate us to make some changes and to overcome something. So from one side, we may feel like, yeah, things are probably not in the scale that we would like them to be. Maybe, yes, we don't get the recognition we want, or we are kind of like far away from the success, or at least the way we have imagined this success. But at the same time, this could be like a fuel. This could be the thing that will motivate you to actually find the strength within you and to change something. But here is the other part. Jupiter is weak. Right now, Jupiter is in Gemini, which is one of the weakest positions for Jupiter, which means that we need to consider this. So in every case, we shouldn't pursue some kind of huge success right away. In other words, Jupiter may like to exaggerate things and can bring this desire, to imagine that you are going to make one step and this step is supposed to take you at the top of the mountain. That's something that can bring even more frustration. So initially, in the first place, I think that our approach, our focus should be to make smaller steps that will take us closer to where we want to go, that will change something, again, related to our results or the appreciation we receive or any goal that we might be pursuing personally. But to keep in mind that we can't kind of like jump above our head. And that's normal. And instead, the rewards and the results will be much more positive if we, I would say, also realistic. If we try to make the next possible step, even if it's small, and actually don't be discouraged if your next step seems like, well, that's not so big, or, well, this is not going to give me or bring me some kind of huge success. That's normal. Just make sure that you are getting closer. And actually, this could be your key. If something looks like the opposite, it looks like, oh, if I do this, then, the result would be amazing and it will be huge. And most likely this will not be realistic. So actually, if you focus on this huge thing or one big step or something that is supposed to change things right away, most likely this will be unrealistic. And that's the exact thing that will bring more frustration. So the approach, especially for today, but I would say even for the next couple of days, while we still feel this square between the Sun and Jupiter, it's to focus on progress, to open up your eyes for the things that are frustrating, not to close yourself for this, not to ignore it, not to deny that you might be even disappointed from something, but instead to face it, to look at the truth, and to search for the next small realistic step. not something that will be exaggerated and will seem like, oh, this is going to change everything for me right away. No, it's just going to bring you more frustration. Right now, it's kind of like, no, it's just the energy. The energy is quite slow because we have also dominant Earth energy. 5 planets out of 10 are in the Earth signs today, including the moon. Actually, let's look together so that you can also see it for yourself. So 5 Earth planets: Sun, Mercury, Uranus, Pluto, and the moon. So we have planets in the 3 Earth signs. So all of them are presented, accentuated, important for us. And the Earth energy, especially when it dominates in cases like that, is about focusing on practical, realistic things and implementing something. Not just dreaming about it, not just visualizing, imagining what it would be, but actually to do something. And reality will give you the proper feedback. And it's possible that you may need to kind of like reset your perspective according to reality, especially because of this square between the Sun in Virgo and Jupiter in Gemini. So we definitely need to use our analytical mind, approach, perspective, and to evaluate things from this perspective. The moon in Capricorn today also means that things could be going or moving slower. And that's okay. So don't rush them. Again, we have no fire energy and so much earth. So things are not gonna change overnight, especially not today. And that's okay. So focus on those things that would make sense and that seem, it's even about the things that may not seem so fun. When we have earth energy, and especially Virgo and also Capricorn, it's about doing the things that you have to do. And they may not be so fun, they may not be the most joyful, but you know that they are meaningful for you and that they will bring you something important. Especially also because the moon will have a square with Venus, especially during the first half of the day. We will feel this aspect more. So something may not be as fun as we would like. Something could be, again, a bit, maybe even upsetting, and not as we would wish. But on the other side, what's really helpful here is the trine between the sun and the moon, which also suggests that we can express something. The sun represents our individuality, and the moon is the closest environment around ourselves. So we may have the chance to kind of like put something out there, to do something, to connect. It's again about the connection with reality and again, the environment around you. And yes, because of the square with Jupiter, maybe not everything will flow right away, but we have a pretty good chance to kind of like achieve something meaningful, again, even if it's not the most fun thing today. The moon also has a sextile with Saturn. So basically the moon is what we call a solution to the Sun-Saturn opposition. The Sun-Saturn opposition is becoming weaker and weaker. So the peak of this energy was maybe a week ago or something like this, a couple of days ago. Now this energy becomes weaker and weaker, which is bringing some possible relaxation for us, but it's still there. So the moon making those aspects is the solution, which means focus more on the closest environment around yourself, not someone or something which is far away, not something that seems big and maybe even unreachable. This is more Saturn. Saturn is the big world around us, like the social world. And because of the opposition, it may feel like, we are not maybe accepted as we want, or things are a bit stuck, and that's normal. But because of the trine with the moon represents the small world around us. So here we have much better chance to do something. So to summarize, if you try to focus on something big, something which is far away from you, something which sounds more like, society or other people, but people who are not really in your closest surrounding, if you focus on those things, most likely you will be frustrated. Most likely you will not get the results you want or the place or the recognition that you would like. But if you focus on the closest environment, like the people you really interact on a daily basis, not necessarily only family, it could be also people you work with, also people around you like friends, some kind of associates. We all have much better chance to change something or to do something meaningful. In other words, to be more recognized there. So in the big world, the world that is far away, we may not be so recognized, but the closest environment around you will respond much more. So it makes sense just to focus on those things, the things and the people that are right next to you, around you, things that may not seem huge and things that can bring breakthroughs, but at the same time, because of all of those positions, the earth energy, this synthetic triangle that we see between the sun, Saturn, and the moon, we may have some positive results. Again, not huge scale results, not like, the complete breakthroughs that will change our life over one night, but things that can grow, things that can be stable. When we have Earth, when we have Saturn and Capricorn, those are things that don't bring immediate, huge, fast results, but those are things that kind of like are not left unnoticed. And even if it takes more time, we get the rewards. So in other words, if you put the work and you're consistent and patient, you may need to wait a little bit. It may not be huge, but you will get the proper results. So that's how we are gonna end this week, at least until the weekend. And one more interesting thing here is the aspect between Mercury and Pluto. This is a creative green aspect, which also brings the opportunity for some kind of interesting ideas. The Mercury type of ideas, especially Mercury in Virgo, is also about practical things, not huge ideas. This is not about finding like a huge long-term vision for something. This is more about something concrete, small ideas that could be very rational, pragmatic, with concrete results. But because of the creative aspect with Pluto, they could be deep, they could be very transformational, and they can allow you to kind of like get to the root of something. So for analytical work, for something that is practical, something that you want to understand better, the day is fantastic. So focus on the more logical things, again, things that are related to exploring something, getting to the root of something, but in a practical way. So it's not about imagination. It's not about visualizing, imagining things. It's about kind of like, yeah, really the practical side of things, but understanding them from a deeper perspective, not just the superficial material side of it and how they look like on the surface, but more like the ability to go deeper, like to understand something that is underneath the surface and the practical side of things. So again, for intellectual work, even for communication, especially more like business things and more practical things, the day is very nice. So that's what we can expect today on Friday. Have